Hello, welcome to episode 1 of The Yellow Show we've gone with. Matt's laugh there maybe suggests that we might change the name at some point.
I think it's alright, mate.
You think it's alright?
I think it's alright.
I'm James Gordon. This is Matthew Turner from the Warrington Guardian. Warrington Town is the subject of The Yellow Show, and we'll hopefully bring you a show roughly fortnightly for the rest of the season, hopefully. Unless we kill each other in the meantime.
Quite likely, I think.
Yeah, we've had a few chats about this in the new Turner Gordon Media Suite, as we've self-christened it. It has to be said.
I'm really happy with it.
Good.
It's a great little setup. If I'm sure anyone watching this will be familiar with the setup of Cantilever Park. But as you walk into the turnstiles, you'll see a big lump of scaffolding on your left. At the top of that is our kingdom, innit?
Yeah, that's our palace. A lot of people say, "You got building work going on?" Well, no is the answer.
No. Might need a little bit of perspex, a bit of work.
Yeah, we are getting a little bit worried, and if the chairman and the chairman's wife are listening, we are holding out on hope that we do get some perspex. I don't think you were there. Were you there last? Was it Tuesday night? Stockport? Were you at Stockport?
Yeah, I was there. I was there.
We were getting wet that game. We got a few sprinkles on the laptop.
It threatened to absolutely pour it down, didn't it?
I mean, the first day on there, it was a lovely sunny day, wasn't it?
It was
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Matt was there. He had suntan cream on, this lad.
I did. Yeah. Even what game was it? The Halifax Cup game.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah.
It was late October, and I was sat there in just a t-shirt.
Yeah.
It's great. We've not really had it in adverse weather yet.
No.
I'd hate to be
we haven't. It's not been dead cold, has it?
I'd hate to be up there in like high winds. Might have to move inside on that one.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Maybe
we'll
I'll
see.
keep faith with it.
So what we're going to do on this show throughout the season is me and Matt are obviously going to have our little debates over Warrington Town and the wider football scene, I suppose. We'll try and get some guest interviewers in, so we'll hopefully get Toby, Cards, some of the players at various points of the season, do some interviews, etc. Happy to have some fans in maybe for some added banter at some point. So with this being the first show, I think a good thing to do would be to reflect on the season so far. So Matt, you can go first, I suppose.
Well, I think if you'd have offered a lot of Warrington Town supporters to be fifth in coming up to mid-November, I think a lot of them would have taken your hand off.
Especially with the games in hand.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, they got 2, 3, 4 games in hand on teams around them at the minute, and given the upheaval of the squad, I mean, obviously not to the detriment of the squad because some of the players they brought in have been absolutely fantastic, but it naturally takes time for that cohesion to come together, especially when you're only training once a week. But the way they've done it so far, albeit they're in a little bit of a trough at the minute, has been really, really impressive, and I think there's a solid base to build from there. Things need tweaking, obviously, but I think they have got a solid base to work from, haven't they?
Yeah, I was a little bit worried in this. Well, no, worried's the wrong word, because I think I'd never be worried while Cards is the manager, really, because I think he gets the best out of who he's got. But I think that there was a bit of a concern that maybe it'd be like mid-table, pushing for playoffs at best.
Yeah.
And I think that first game against Farsley was very much, you thought, it's going to be a long season. The results necessarily after that weren't, obviously beating Lancaster were pretty weak, and then the 2 goalless draws. But since I think they went back to basics, obviously kept, focused on the defence, and obviously went on that incredible run of not conceding a goal, and that's really laid the foundations. And I think in some ways the team's almost become a victim of that run, because I think now, they wobbled a bit, like you say, in the last few weeks, and I think probably they've almost like raised the bar too high too early. But I mean, I suppose that's football. I think the Halifax game, has had probably more of an effect than anyone would have liked. So certainly the way, because I mean, that was probably the best Warrington Town performance I think I've ever seen.
Oh, it was fantastic, wasn't it?
Even, I mean, probably on a par with the Exeter one.
Yeah, I think so. In different ways as well. Obviously the Exeter one, it was backs to the wall. They were throwing their bodies in the way of everything, and obviously they had their fair share of luck as well. But they played Halifax off the park in that game, and it was a side 2 leagues higher than them. and some of the football they were playing on a pitch that it's a decent pitch at Cantilever Park, but it can be a bit tricky at times, especially when the weather's been a bit changeable. The football they were playing on it was fantastic, and I think not winning that game, I think, like you say, it did take a lot more out of them than
and especially because not only did they not win it, it was then you had to have the replay, and the replay was hard work. You could tell it was hard work. The pitch there at Halifax, I thought, is massive pitch. That's probably the biggest pitch I've ever seen them play on. And I think they just got, it was absolute men against boys, full-time pros against the semi-pros, and I think it's just a shame really that you look at that Halifax game and you can't the mistake that Mark Roberts made. It's like, the thing is, I suppose it's football, is that he made a bad judgment, but the hundreds and hundreds of perfect judgments he's made in the games, probably in that game and in the games prior, never get mentioned. And and it's similar that we had that sort of, the Dave Raven almost had a similar episode the week prior against Matlock, where his sort of failed clearance led to the goal, which led to that defeat, and that was the first goal that had been conceded. And we'll just talk about them two. They've been, since they came, Raven and Roberts have been unbelievable.
You can't find enough words for how professional, for how steady, for how calming they are at the back. You'd think to have a centre-half partnership of one lad who's 35 and another who's 33, 34, I don't know how old Raven is, you'd think the easy way to play against them would be to bomb it over the top and get in behind them and hit the channels and whatever. But nothing seems to faze them, does it? They very rarely get pulled out of position. They're dragging, obviously they've got people like Mitch Duggan next to him, Alex Whittle. They've got a young midfield as well that they're having to pull around into shape, and you could tell during that run of not conceding a goal that they were at the heart of it. They were pushing and pulling everybody around, and they are very, very settled. And I just hope, obviously Robbo's been ill for the last couple of weeks, so he's not been able to play, so hopefully he'll slot back in on Saturday.
Yeah, he was on the bench on Saturday. I think the thing for me is just the way that the other teams never have very many chances. Like Warrington never concede many chances, and that in itself means you're not going to concede a lot of goals. I know obviously there's a bit of an issue at the moment with the goalkeeper situation because of Tony McMillan's injury, and it's like, in many ways, they could have you in there. Because they only concede, they only give up maybe one or two chances. Albinson made the mistake against Nantwich, and then he's played. I thought he had a good game on Saturday. To be fair, he made some really good saves. But prior to Saturday, I don't think I'd even seen him make a save. No. I think he played 3 games and he'd not even made a save because the defence just aren't letting anyone through at all.
Yeah. Well, we went to Grantham, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago, and with no word of a lie, this is an often used cliche, but Albinson could have been sat next to you and me having a brew. He
could have acted as our table because we were struggling for table space at Grantham, weren't we?
Do you want to tell them the story?
The Grantham story. Oh yeah. So we'll give you a bit of insight. So we arrive at Grantham. I'm trying to think what everything was fairly ordinary. It was cold, wasn't it? And they've got if you haven't been to Grantham, I think it's a decent facility. It's it's obviously a council facility. There's a main stand, there's an athletics track, and then there's a stand on the opposite side. So we're in the main stand, and to be honest, having been there, the thought never crossed my mind that there wouldn't be a facility for the press. We located the press bench, and then we're told that you couldn't sit there because the seats didn't have backs on them.
No.
So obviously made our way upstairs, and then there was literally all there was one press booth type chair.
It's probably about as wide as this table, wasn't it?
And it was like surrounded. It looked like it'd be a nice windbreak. Your legs would be warm in there, and that was for the guy on the mic. And so effectively we just had to sit in normal seats on with our laptops on our legs, and Matt got a bit of heckling, didn't you, from the lovely people at Grantham?
I got it's my own fault. I shouldn't have got involved, really. Grantham had a man sent off midway through the second half.
Yeah, second half. Yeah.
It was one of them tackles. He probably didn't make too much contact with Adam Carden, but he left the ground and it looked a bit wild and reckless, so he gave the referee a decision to make. But what got me was he was coming off the pitch and he got a standing ovation from the Grantham fans, and that tipped me over the edge really. So I only shook my head, but one of them clocked me. They said, "What are you shaking your head for?" I said, "Well, why are you applauding foul play?" They said, "Well, he shouldn't have been sent off." So I just made the point of, regardless of whether he should have been sent off or not,
he has been sent
off. So it's the only interpretation that matters is the referee's, and he's deemed it foul play, and you're applauding that. So I got told to, in not such kind words, I got told
free watershed. We might have to bleep this
free
out.
Free watershed. We might have to bleep it out. Oh well, I'll bleep myself and say bleep off. Stick to bleeping typewriting, I think is what he said.
Yeah.
So.
And I've seen you type. You've not got a future in typewriting.
I haven't. No.
Yeah, it was a weird one at Grantham. I mean, I think in many ways, that Grantham performance, I don't think Warrington were particularly good that day, and obviously got the result, which is sometimes all that matters.
Yeah.
And I think, to be honest, I think the Hensford performance was probably quite similar, but Hensford were obviously a better team.
Yeah.
I think, Hensford's goal was very, very lucky. It was a scruffy goal. I thought actually Dylan Basello should have got a free kick in the build up to it, so he's got the ball sort of in one corner, and then Hensford have basically got it off him via what I thought was a foul. They've gone up the other end, got a corner, and then scored a real scrappy goal off the corner.
Yeah, but at the minute, as we were coming on to it before, they're not letting many goals in. But at the moment, it's the other end where the problems are coming from, because they may only be letting one goal in every couple of games, but that one goal is costing them at the minute. Is enough to.
Well, I mean, you don't have to look at the defeats. You look at the defeats. 2-0 onto Farsley, 1-0 against Matlock, 1-0 against Hensford.
Yeah.
And it's like, you sort of the Nantwich one was perhaps the anomaly in that, because it was 2-1, but. To have lost 3 of the last 4 league games is sort of starting to threaten their position. I still think Warrington have got the best average points in the league, so they're still effectively the best team in the league, but I know the theory is that they can't really afford to lose many more than 6, and you're already on 4, and you've still got another best part of 30 games to go.
To do that and only lose 2 games is a big ask of anybody. It'd be a big ask of people like Scarborough, who are up at the top of the table, I think. I spoke to Paul the other day, and he sort of intimated that you might have to look at a changing system, a changing personnel, because it's just not happening going forward at the minute.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't know what you think. I mean, obviously Tony Gray. I think a lot's been said that Tony Gray is a bit out of form, and he might be, but I think the problem you've got with Tony Gray is he's such a hard-working player that he can almost be whatever you want him to be. Yeah. And I know that typically he's used a bit more withdrawn, isn't he? He's probably a bit more withdrawn to link up with the midfield, and when he doesn't do that, the midfield suffers. But then at the same time, if Tony Gray's not up there scoring the goals, there's literally nobody else really.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, if you look at it, the attacking players that they've got, they'd fit pretty comfortably into a lot of teams at this level, but it's knitting them together, isn't it? And I think they're in desperate need of someone who's going to run in behind and stretch defences, because there's not. Jake Kirby could do it, but how long is he going to be here from Stockport? That's the thing.
Yeah, to be honest, I spoke to Cards. I saw him last week before the game actually, and I was asking him about Jake Kirby, because I think when he played his first game, I thought he was going to play through the middle, and he looked like he had a good shot on him, and we've not really seen him. He played a little bit in the middle on Saturday, and he's generally played out wide. You sort of feel like he's potentially got the attributes that you want to do that role. But I'm sort of still a bit on the fence with it, because I think you've got Jack McCreth, who's getting down the right at will, and he's either crossing with his right or he's cutting back on his left, and he can put a decent ball in even with his left foot.
Yeah. But
it always just feels like they've not got anyone in there who can, who can poach it. So Tony Gray's often withdrawn a little bit. You've not got anyone who's sort of getting their elbows in on the edge of the 6-yard box, and I know strikers like goals. I know we've had Daniel Hattersley's been at a few of the games, having been back from Australia. Is he the sort of is he the sort of player they need? I'm not too sure.
He's similar to what they have, isn't
But
he?
that's the thing. It's like because
Amos,
that was the problem with Brodie as well, wasn't it? Brodie, Amos, and Gray, although they are different players, they all loosely have similar attributes.
Yeah.
I suppose it's do you look at saying to Tony Gray, right, you be the out and out centre forward and bring somebody else in? Could you put Dylan behind him? Maybe I don't know. So, like I say, the problem you've got at the moment is they're not conceding many goals, but they're not scoring many either, and it's almost like you almost feel like the only way that they can win games is if they take the lead. Do you know what I mean? If you fall a goal behind, you're sort of thinking, where are 2 goals coming from?
Yeah, I'm going to use I'm going to go in the tactics truck now.
Oh, we weren't planning this, but he's going for it.
Right. I think what you could maybe look at is, because they play 4-4-2 at the minute. I'm going to have to bring a white.
Gary Neville's going to be quaking. I'm going to have to bring
a white player in here. So they go 4-4-2 at the minute. So just going to do the midfield and forwards. So they'll have McCreth up the right, Vassilo, it was Kirby on Saturday, wasn't it, on the left.
Yeah.
And 2 of Garrity, Evans, and Bealey in midfield, and then Gray and another.
Yeah.
Up front, it's either Amos or Dixon or another. And Tony Gray sort of drops in.
Well, I think
a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I think the problem you've got is Dixon wants to do that as well. Yeah. So I think you saw that on Saturday. Like the centre mids are probably playing too deep, especially when Bealey plays, because I think Bealey. It's a weird one with Garrity because I think Garrity does a bit of everything. So sometimes he almost gets sucked back because he does a lot of that winning the ball and breaking up. But obviously Bealey, when he's in the team, that's his job.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes maybe both of them are doing the same thing, which then means you've got this massive gap. And then obviously you end up with Tony Gray getting sucked back in. And then I think Bowen Dixon wants to play in here as well. So effectively what you end up with is your wingers are pretty much your most advanced players. But the problem is when he's getting down here, there's no one to cross into.
I mean, you could advocate maybe a switch to 4 to 3 in midfield and 3 in attack if you can find maybe Luke George. We've not seen a great deal of him. If he can come in and show up.
Well, you could play Evans as well, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could play Evans there, but I think Bealey's injured at the minute, so I think.
He got a bad. It was a really bad tackle at the end of the match. To be fair, he could have hurt the other guy just the same.
Yeah. So if you play, I don't know, let's say for example, say Luke George holding, and you can have Garrity and Robbie Evans floating around in here, and you obviously I'm not suggesting to Cards.
Cards he's gonna ring us up after this.
Cards is gonna wipe the floor with me.
We're gonna be banned from the team. But
Cards is gonna wipe the floor with me here. But if I were him, I'd be saying to one of Ben or Robbie, you need to stay higher.
Yeah, because I think the thing is you can trust that Dave Raven and Robert are going to sort it out. So I think you just. I mean, do the fullbacks have a part to play in this? Because it's almost like if you've got someone going that deep, does like Mitch and I thought Alex Whittle was the best player on Saturday.
Yeah.
Do they need to be a bit further up than they are being?
Yeah.
But then the argument is with that is that you don't want McCreth to be. You want McCreth to be in as much space as he possibly can. You don't want Duggan bringing men into his area because you want McCreth to be basically getting the ball here with a load of space to get out the full man.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a little bit. I really like Dylan. I know, obviously, I know there's obviously been times where he blows hot and cold, but I think he puts his foot in, and I think you could. I know we played a bit in centre mid last season. Certainly the Ebbsfleet game, he was unbelievable.
Really, really.
Could you do something where you accommodate him and Jake Kirby maybe, and do that? I don't know. I mean, I still think whatever you do there, you still got this issue up here. Are you getting the best out of Tony Gray if you're saying, right, you stand on penalty spot, Tony Gray? Because I don't think you are. Because I think the way he links up the play, and the way he comes back and wins the ball back, and I think there was a chat. I can't remember what game it was where literally he set off a counter attack by winning the ball back here, and then you've got jacks going on and whatever. I also think one of the issues is. When they are creating chances at the moment, I think they're anxious because they know they don't create many clear cut. That when they do come,
they need to put them in.
We saw that. Tony had one. It was like the Grantham one where Jack got down the right and it was a first time shot and he just didn't get hold of it. And I think
you put your house on him usually from there.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the issue as well is that they're sort of getting a little bit anxious about scoring because they know it's they've not been scoring as many as they would like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult. I mean, I wouldn't like to be looking for a striker. I mean, they're like gold dust, aren't they? Really.
I mean, it's all well and good. I mean, I obviously put one of my stories on Twitter, and you had a lot of fans saying, "Is it a new striker? Can we sign a new striker?" It's all well and good saying, "Let's just go out and sign a striker," but you got to find them, and then you got to pay them.
Yeah.
And
I mean, even if you have got the money, you've then got to, a decent striker will be at a club. And is that club, if the club's in Warrington's league, are they going to let them go to Warrington? Probably not. Because strikers are that rare of a commodity, goal scoring ones, even players in the league above, are them teams going to think, because their current striker might be scoring now, but he might stop. So did they want to give Warrington that goal? So, a tricky situation at the moment, and we're going to talk about the Saturday's match shortly, but they've got a good few striking options, and I think that's where Basford we'll talk about this in a sec, but Basford, I think one of their strengths is I think Watson's already got 15, something like that. And it's just and they've got Liam Earn as well, and they've got players who know where the goal is and who're scoring goals, and even though they've lost a few games, the fact that they've got guys who score goals mean they can. You look. I know a lot's being said about South Shields and Basford's form away from home, but you literally could put their house on them winning at home because they can score 3, 4, 5 goals against anyone. Whereas with Warrington, you're always wary that they're going to get beat 1-0 by a Matlock or 1-0 by 2-0 by Farsley. You always feel like they could. Whereas you couldn't imagine South Shields playing at home and not scoring.
No, it would be a surprise if either of them sides got held to a goalless at home. So
before we talk about Saturday, then we wanted to talk about player of the season so far. So how many we in now? 14, 15 in the league, something
15
like that.
League games and 18 cup games.
Yeah, but luckily all the cup games are over now, so there's no more of them. So go on, player of the season.
I can't look past Ben Garrity personally. I think from where he's sort of come from, I was talking to Adam Carden on the way back from Grantham, because I wanted to find out a little bit more about where he'd actually come from, because he just seems to have come from nowhere. And he was playing for Lower Breck in the Liverpool County League last year. They won that league, and now they're in the county's First Division North now. But he's come in and he's taken to this level of football. It's 3-4 levels up from where he was playing. He's taken to it like a duck to water, and I don't think he realises how good he actually is. He's 21, and the energy he brings in centre midfield and the anticipation as well. He's got a footballing brain. He seems to read the play really well. It is like having two. It is like having two players in there.
Well, that's what I mean, and that's part of the issue, because it's almost like is he your holding player or is he your attacker? Because he's like trying to do everything, and you don't want to take that away from him. I think Saturday was probably the first game where he probably, like Craddock at Ensford, really got into him.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably the first game where maybe his inexperience, that was the first time you sort of saw it impact, because Craddock went in really hard on him like early doors, should have got booked in my opinion.
Yeah.
But then from that point forward, he almost had Garrity in his pocket for most of the game, and I think it's obviously, and there's nothing he can do about that, it's just getting that experience.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. It's a bit like Jamie McDonald. You have to give credit to. I know Adam Carden does a lot of stuff, but you have to give credit to the club and to the manager for one, identifying these players, and two, for giving them a chance. Because you look at who Garrity's keeping out of the team. He's kept Bealey and Robbie Evans out of the team, who've both played very high level. And he's, like I say, he's probably a key. I know we chatted about this just before we recorded this. I would probably go for Dave Raven.
Yeah.
I think he's just. I know. I think you described Robbo as a Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
Dave Raven's probably more of a Ford Focus. You can rely on him.
Oh yeah, older, reliable. It's not flashy, but he's never going to let you down.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I think I think he's all like you said before. He's almost like always there whenever there's a problem. When he's starting, I think you can sort of see his influence on the other players as well. Obviously, it'd be really interesting to see what happens when Jamie Carton comes back. Does then that open? I know we've probably not got enough players to do this, but if when Jamie Carton comes back, do you look at maybe going 3 at the back and and seeing whether you can almost have McCreth as your right wing back almost, and have Whittle on the other side, and then maybe see whether that'll help you get more men into the box.
I can see what you mean, but I think if you put more defensive responsibility onto McCreth than he needs to have, I think you're taking a lot away from him. And
yeah, but then at the same time, does he need to be a wing back? Could he just still be a right? Tell Whittle and McCreth to be high up on the side. Ravens can cover the right. You've got the two centre halves. Maybe you get Garrity there as well. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to see what happens when Jay McCartan comes back.
It will. Yeah. I mean, it's no coincidence that the run of not conceding goals started when Raven came in.
Yeah.
And him and McCreth had it seemed like a lifetime of them sat on the sidelines waiting for international clearance to come through, which is just a joke.
I suppose the argument is could they have had, they lost the first game, they had 2 draws before they come in, so that's effectively 7 points that you'd never know might have gone. I know, if they were playing against Farsley, might you not have lost that game, and if they'd have played against Bamber Bridge and Staley Bridge, and so interesting to see how it unfolds. So we'll talk about. Let's look ahead to this weekend then. So Basford.
Or is it Basford?
Basford. I don't know. I don't know.
Where even is Basford? Basford.
I don't know.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's like you come up against teams and you have no idea where they are.
But then do people know where Warrington is?
Surely.
Is it Basford or Basford though? I mean,
let us know. Is it anyone from Basford or Basford listening? Let us know. Is it Basford?
I would have gone Basford, but I'm sort of like leaning towards Basford because I've just heard a few more people say it like that.
Yeah, I think it might be.
But then, if it was Basford, I don't know. I mean, I suppose it's another quirk in English language because it's like if you put an E in or a H in, does it still sound the same? It's a bit like Rashford, Bashford.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so really important, obviously, to get a win, especially at home. Especially against a team that we're not quite sure whether they're going to be up there, but they're certainly at home. Particularly, they're really good.
They've won 8 of their 9 home games, and they're scoring goals for fun. I mean, we've talked a lot about Warrington's defensive attacking issues. Basford have no such attacking issues. They will create chances, and I think obviously with Warrington have a really good defensive record, but I think they will do well to keep a clean sheet on Saturday, pure because of the talent they've got on the pitch. Thomas has got 14-15 league goals already, and Liam Hearn, who it doesn't seem so long ago that he was
top
scoring in the conference.
He was top scorer in the conference, and he got the deal in the football league after that.
They look a good side. I mean, I've no idea how they like to play. I don't know whether they play direct. I don't know whether they play on the deck. I think they like to play with a front three, so I don't know how that works style wise, but. It is a big game, and I think I wouldn't call it a must win, but I would call it a must not lose.
Yeah, I was just going to say, is it too early to call it a must win? Because I think if you took the fixture in isolation, I think it's like you say, it's an ordinary game, but I think because Warrington have had 3 defeats in the last 4, if that went to 4 in 5 and you've lost to a team that could feasibly catch you, does it then all of a sudden our alarm bells starting to ring a bit louder? Whereas I think. I'm not saying it's paper over in any cracks, but if you win this weekend, you've got there's a decent run of games coming up, there's a lot of home games coming up, so they could almost stabilise them, obviously have a bit of a blip, stabilise yourself a little bit, and then go into Christmas on the front foot.
These next 3 games, obviously home to Basford, home to Hyde the week after that, and then away to Marine. That run of 3 games, I think you've got to be looking at
9.
We'd all love 9, but I think you've got to be looking at. You've got to be looking at 7, and at the very least 6. I think at the very least, because after that, I think they go to Farsley and then they're at home to Scarborough in the lead up to Christmas. So
it'd be nice, like I say, it'd be nice. These are 3 games where you could build momentum going into Farsley and Scarborough, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is the sort of games, at home against the team that are well fancied this season and last. To be fair. They've made a habit of turning up for, haven't they? I mean, if you look at the South Shields game earlier in the season, they came highly fancied, and they were completely taken to the cleaners. And Telford as well,
but Halifax
and Halifax as well. Obviously,
it's obviously trying to get them up. Like I say, it's trying to get them up for the game. Like the Halifax game is unbelievable.
Yeah.
and you know, and I think I'm not saying that you can't play like that every week.
No,
but it's like if there was a time for a repeat performance of that, it's probably this week.
Yeah, I think it'd be sending a message more than anything, because there are voices going that the cup run's taking a lot out of them, they're too far behind, the games in hand are taking their toll, etc., etc. If they came out and beat Basford, it will
Basford.
Stop. It'd send a message out to say, we're not going away, we're not done yet, we're not running out of steam.
Yeah.
And as you say, just hopefully try and pick up a bit of form going into Christmas. Big game.
So
massive game.
And you're going to tell us now a nice little plug for your employers. We'll get this in before the end. So how can we watch the match on Saturday for free, Matt?
Well, you can watch the match on Saturday for free by picking up your copy of this week's Warrington Guardian, because if you go to the sports section, it comes out on Thursday, you go to the sports section, you will find a nice voucher which entitles you, if you show that at the gate, you will be allowed into Cantilever Park on Saturday, free of charge. No pounds.
And don't forget to give us a wave in the Turner Gordon media terrace.
Yeah, if you're coming in, you can't miss it. You literally cannot miss it. Scaffolding, give us a wave. We'll come down. I'll come down and say hello. Say thanks for buying the paper.
Yeah.
Get your copy of the Guardian and come down and support the boys.
Definitely. Matt, thanks. Pleasure as always.
Yeah, I just wanted to finish with something for you. Right,
go on, here we go.
Surprise for you.
God.
You know how ITV News do and finally.
Alright.
Yeah. I think all the talk has been in sort of the wider world of football, especially today, of Wayne Rooney coming back and having a farewell appearance for England.
Right.
Whatever you think of it or not. You've watched Warrington Town for a lot longer than I have. Is there a Warrington Town player from your past that you'd have come back and have a farewell appearance off the bench?
What a question.
One more game. One for fans as well. If you're watching it and commenting.
Yeah, flipping it. Talk about putting me on the spot. I think probably. I mean, obviously there'll be people who watch Warrington a lot longer than me. Probably someone like Mike Tomlinson or Mike Duffy that they used to have a few years ago. I think it's really interesting because obviously now you look at the sort of like the Rolls Royce centre halves that Warrington have got now. And no disrespect to Tomlinson, he was a proper non-league centre half, and it's like the contrasted of styles there. Good question. But yeah, we'd love to hear some of your suggestions. There'll be some, no doubt, that are a bit older than me, hopefully watching. So I mean, Damien White might pop up as one. He was a good player back in the day. But yeah, thanks for watching first episode of the Yellow Show. We'd love to hear your feedback. So give us a like, a share, a comment. Feel free to tweet us if you've got any ideas or stuff you want us to talk about. Do let us know. But we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.